Hey, welcome back to Next Dev. In this video, I want to touch quickly on some of the mistakes to avoid early on as a freelance developer. So when I started my career, I went straight into freelancing. I freelanced for like over 5 years, and I wish I could have avoided some of these mistakes. So I wanted to share some of these with you. Hopefully you can learn through my mistakes and avoid these for yourselves. So the first one is overestimating your skills and talent. So early on, when you start freelancing as a software developer, you're typically pretty hungry. You're eager. You want to land that gig, right? And so you will essentially oversell yourself and your services, and you'll overestimate your talent and skill set, right? To take on whatever work comes your way. The problem with this is that you're going to get exposed very quickly, right? If there are other senior devs or other devs on that project that you get on, they're going to find out what you know and what you don't know. And so you want to be very candid and honest and open up front when you're engaging with that project or with that prospect. But you don't want to overestimate your skills and talent, right? Learning along the way is always a constant when you're doing the work in software development. However, if you just scratch the surface of JavaScript, it might be a bad idea to take on a freelance gig opportunity where it's going to be some very advanced JavaScript, right? You might run into some challenges there. So don't overestimate your skills and talent. Be very humble with what you know. Be very candid with what you know, and only go for the gigs that are going to meet what you can actually deliver. So that's mistake number one to avoid. Mistake number two, fixed bid deals. So many times in software development, at least in business, there are kind of two separate deal structures, right? There's fixed bid, which basically means this project is only going to pay $1,000, let's say, and you have to meet all of the expectations and timelines and deliverables within that fixed bid structure. The second structure is time and materials, which is, i.e., you're billing for your time. The reason why I recommend against fixed bid deals is because typically, if you're early on in your career, you're still learning how to meet those expectations, number one. And number two, fixed bid deals typically leave a winner and a loser. It doesn't really create a win-win situation, right? So say, for example, if you underestimate the work, you're on the hook to deliver everything that's expected within a fixed bid deal structure. If you overestimate the work, then they're probably paying for time and energy and things that they don't want or they don't need, right? So fixed bid creates sticky situations in between the person that's paying and the person that's getting paid. Time and materials is definitely the way to go. Your time as a person, your time as a developer is extremely valuable, and it's important that you get compensated for all of your time, right? So set that expectation up front. Only go for the gigs where you're being paid per hour for your time, and make sure you deliver the maximum amount of value within that hour that you're billing for. The third mistake to avoid, in my professional experience, is controlling your schedule. So let's say you are actually finding a lot of forward momentum with landing freelance gigs and opportunities as a software developer. What typically will happen is your schedule is going to get filled up with whatever you think is the most priority, the highest priority for you to work on, and then things start to go in the back burner. You need to make sure that you have control over your time and that you have a organized schedule, right? Things pop up, and it's very often that you're going to get asked to, like, can you quickly go look into this thing? If you're juggling more than one project, it's extremely important that you schedule that time in for each one of those projects and don't overschedule yourself. You'll run into burnout. It will happen eventually. It happens to everybody. Burnout is a real thing in this industry. Whether you're an employee at a place or whether you're a private contractor and you're self-employed, control your schedule. Make sure that you have a balance between what you're working on, when you're working on it, and make sure you set those expectations with your clients as well. So don't control your schedule. Somebody else is going to control it for you. The fourth recommendation that I have to avoid mistakes is setting expectations you cannot meet. All too often, it's easy to just say yes. It can be done with optimistic outlooks, which is okay. However, Expectation setting is a big part of being a freelance software developer, right? You are constantly setting expectations with your peers, your colleagues, and the people that you report to, whether that's the person paying for your work or whether it's your employer. Getting really good at setting expectations is going to avoid a lot of headache for you and for everybody else around you who is interacting on this particular software project. That's a skill that you have to level up over time. It's not something that all of us are naturally born with. It comes down to being a very good and effective communicator, and it also comes down to having the ability to say no and not being afraid to say, I'm not sure. Can I have some time to go look into that? Here's a quick example, right? Hey, we want to get this feature done. We really need it so that the data syncs from the database over to this remote data lake. Is it possible that we can get this done today? If the answer is no in your gut and you're not sure, you should just say no, that's not possible. I'm going to need some more time to look into this and estimate. You can always follow up with like, I need some time to look into this. Can I have the time to look into this? And then report back. And typically people are always going to be accepting that answer. So don't set expectations that you cannot meet. Don't say yes to everything. Be 100% sure that you can meet those expectations or don't agree to them, and negotiate with the people that you need to negotiate with to get those expectations leveled. That's a big part of career in general, but especially as a freelance software developer, you got to be able to set the correct expectations, or otherwise you're going to fall short. It's not going to feel good for you or them. And the last tip that I have is on pricing. So there's two kind of camps. There's the camp of freelance devs that they're getting started in freelance development and they will price point themselves out of the market, i.e. they'll make themselves way too expensive, and the alternative options for that person is to select somebody who's going to be less per hour. So you want to make sure you get your pricing right. The best way to look at how to price your services for software development is to look at like other examples, say on Upwork or Fiverr, and see what those pricings are. It's also to look up like market data, like how much does the average junior developer make per hour, and you want to price point yourself like just in the middle early on, and you can start to elevate your pricing higher and higher as you can provide more value for that time and as you become more senior. So that's that camp, is the overpriced camp, and you don't want to do that because you're going to miss out on possible early opportunities. The other camp is price pointing yourself too low, right? So you don't want to price your services and your hours too low because it makes skepticism. People start to wonder like, why is your time so little valued, right? Number one. And number two, you could be earning more during that gig, right? And dollars is fuel, in my opinion. So you want to make sure that you get your pricing right on your services that should meet what you can deliver, i.e. if this is your first gig, you probably want to price things a little bit lower so you get the work experience, you get the opportunity. If this is not your first gig and you've done many gigs, you probably want to price your services a little bit higher, not too far above the median, but not right at the median either, right? So there's an argument that can be made that you're better, right? That your time is more valuable because you have more to deliver. So these are the mistakes that I wish I would have avoided early on in my freelance career. I hope you can avoid these as well. Let me know what you think in the comment section. And if you'd like to know a little bit more about my experience in terms of hitting these mistakes early on in my freelance dev career, I would love to talk to you about that and see if I can help provide some insights. So with that, signing off. Hope this has been helpful, and we'll see you in the next one.